Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Peteman Reviews. Today we have the Iron Factory EX02 Weapon Defence Squad, namely Manacle, as you see here, and Turris, who I've just brought into shot. Clearly these guys are remakes, or not remakes, they're third-party Transformers for Titans Metroplex, specifically for Titans Metroplex. Now the original release of Metroplex came with a tank who also formed into a tower, who was known as Slammer, of which Manacle replaced here. He also had a number of his big guns, all the various guns and some of the tower components used to form together. Actually I think it was guns, literally 6 guns to form 6 gun. Now the Titans release did not have these 2 guys in. So what Iron Factory have done is they've basically given us them in these modes. They're tooled up to the nines, they've got loads of weapons which do combine to form other super weapons for Metroplex to use. Now what Iron Factory have also done is they have, surprisingly for a third party toy, have actually shown us colour pictures of Metroplex and where they suggest some of the weapons could go. Given these are universal pegs, they can actually go anywhere, both in robot mode or city mode or mobile weapons platform mode. It basically makes your Metroplex a hell of a lot more powerful than he already is when you consider you're effectively handing to him a tank, a huge gun, actually 2 huge guns with the form of 6 gun, and all these little guns here make some more guns. So it's quite cool to have. They're not cheap Transformers, or third-party robots I should say, but actually they are well worth the money. They fill a little bit of a gap, but they are actually quite good toys by themselves, particularly Manacle here, because his ult mode is a proper tank, whereas 6 guns ult mode, well, he's really 2 other guns. I suppose you could connect him to other Transformers, but really they only work with Metroplex. Anyway, let's see them transform, shall we? So we'll start off with Manacle, Slammer here. Now we'll begin by removing all of these. He's got a shield, he's got shotguns, he's got small lasers, he's got missiles. All excellent weapons, but actually these all form a super weapon later. So we'll just take them off and put them to one side for the moment so you can actually see the toy. See how many weapons you get, it's quite impressive. Now the original Slammer never came with a robot mode. He was just a tank or a turret. So this is the first time a Slammer's ever had a robot mode. It's good. It looks very, very reminiscent of, what was his name now? I want to say Ironhead, but you know the guy from IDW Comics who wrote about the Wreckers and who took a slug in the head in The Last Stand of the Wreckers? It looks very, very similar to him. It also reminds me of Warpath as well. I know the gun's in the wrong place, but otherwise it just reminds me a bit of Warpath. Possibly because he changes into a tank. Yeah, nothing subtle or fancy about that. But he is a familiar looking character, so I don't know for sure, but it just looks like they've taken the mould off either an existing toy or it's made to look like somebody else who then forms an existing toy. When you look at the head, it's detailed, considering how small this guy is. The whole detailing is really good. He's got lights on the tanks. You know, you've got good tread detail in there. Even the gun has got good moulding to it, so it is a really good toy. In terms of size-wise, while he is billed as a Legends Transformer, he's actually somewhat bigger than the Legends class toys, such as Hound here. I suppose you could allow for the bulkiness of him, but he is somewhat bigger than a Legends toy. Indeed, he doesn't look out of place next to a G1 style toy like Jazz here. Obviously he's shorter, but he fits very well with some of the mini-bots. Actually he's somewhat larger than the mini-bot, so he fits well with the G1 line. In terms of transformation, you actually pop the turret off to begin with, just makes life a little bit easier. So feet going like that. These then, yeah, the chest goes up like that. That wasn't what I meant to do, but hey, it makes life a little bit easier. Now you do have to rotate the waist like that because obviously your tracks are going underneath, so with the way it was going to form, the tracks will be above. These do slot together. Again, you've got your little pegs here, the little holes here for them to go into, and then you just rotate it out like that. Sometimes the slot comes out, so you just slot back in. So we're not that far off, and just bend it up like that. Arms next. So you just need to, what you need to do is make it so that these arm pieces here all line up. So ignore the alarm if you can hear it. I think it's someone else's car alarm, I hope. Anyway, so as you can see, what I've done is that's level there. This goes, so it's level like that, and that slots into place like so. And you end up with the whole thing forming one track like that. Same on the other side. So luckily this peg here is already in slot. Just rotate the arm up like so. I didn't say much about its manoeuvrability in robot mode, did I? As we'll cover it when we go to 6 gun, because they're virtually identical with their movability. Okay, so here we have him in tank mode, and of course now the turret goes on. He looks very, very similar to the original Slammer, but he has full rotation with the turret, which goes up as well. So it's actually, that's the extreme level of articulation with the turret too. Now he has numerous holes on him, so you could, if you wanted to, make him into a super tank. With shotgun attachments, yeah, that's common for a tank, isn't it? Missile launchers, now those are sometimes you see on tanks. They all fit together. You do have somewhere where you can slot the little pistol on there. The shield, well, it will go in, but it's just a little bit too taller than the tread. So the shield doesn't really fit on, unfortunately, though you probably could stick it on here. But anyway, you could make him a super tank if you wish. There's really a great need for that. We'll come to the weapons and how they combine in a second, because they do exactly the same for 6 gun as well, or turrets as they call it. So there you are, that is Slammer or Manacle. A pretty good, considering this is an accessory guy, he is a very good robot in his own right. So get these out of the way and bring you 6 gun or turrets. Again, he's got a lot of additional weapons. We'll just take these off in a moment so you can actually see the Transformer, because they are an impressive amount of extra weapons. The shield actually goes quite well on the side here. How it would use it, I don't know. Now, these guns are actually part of him. So this is him in his bear mode, if you like. Again, a good Transformer, very reminiscent of the original one. Excellent detailing on the face. It actually is very similar to the original one. Again, it's just got so much good detailing all round, considering how small the guy is. Now, in terms of manoeuvrability, both of them have excellent arm, leg joints. You've got a full range of movement. The head does turn. It's easier to move 6 gun's head than it is Slammer's, just because of how Slammer's head is situated. He doesn't have a waist move because of how he connects together, whereas Slammer does because of how he transforms. Again, you compare him to a Legends, he is billed as a Legend character, but he's substantially larger than most Legends characters. But he's very much on a par, again, with the G1 guy like Jazz. Slammer's 600 rather taller than Slammer, so he actually is closer to Jazz's height. Again, it kind of works really well, doesn't it? You don't feel that they're out of place at all. A good robot here. Now, his ult mode really only works if you use him as Metroplex, or if you consider him as being part of Metroplex, because he doesn't really, well, he does have ult mode, but it's not as you'd expect. Do you remember the Duocons, which were two separate, say, flywheels, for example, a separate kind of car tank and a plane which combined into one robot? He's similar to a Duocon. So, take off these 2 big guns here. Now, the reason his waist can't swivel is because it actually comes apart like that. Don't worry, it's not split in 2, although, if you're doing a game with them, for example, it would be quite tempting to leave him like that. But no, it's actually the way he changes. Okay, so these 2 guns at the back here go all the way down, like so. Straighten the arms out. We're going to just turn the head around like this, just so that it's out of the way, because these arms then come up like so. Now you see you've got little connecting points there. They do come together eventually. Okay, so this is actually half of his ult mode. So hold him in view. This is half of his ult mode, and clearly it's a cannon. That's it. Now that's not an ult mode by itself, because he needs something to hold it. A bit like perhaps Megatron, I guess, but no, this does connect up. So universal pegs, if you've got a Transformer large enough, he will be able to be held by them. What about the legs? Well, they don't wander around by themselves. He has an unfortunately placed peg here, Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Basically, it's like you're going to hold him in a somewhat inappropriate place. But hey, not a lot you can do about that, unfortunately. Luckily, when he transforms like that, it looks a little bit less odd. So, if you really wanted to do Transformer porn, you could. Don't. Just don't. Guns. Now, these can be held because it's actually the same style peg as it is here and it is here. So you could hold them together and make them just huge weapons to be held by other Transformers. But what they do here is actually, it's probably better to hold it that way around, is because it just goes in a little bit further. So they actually go onto here. Oops, there we go. To make another weapon. So there we are, 2 weapons for Metroplex to hold or slot in. By themselves, they aren't really Ultimos by themselves, but remember this is an accessory purely for Metroplex, so they are absolutely perfect for him. It gives him yet more big, substantial guns to hold. Okay, now I said about the weapons, didn't I? And about the fact that, heck, even the weapons are combiners. Not uncommon, we've seen this quite a lot in people like Devastator, for example, or Predaking, where the guns join together. But it's a very nice little touch. Again, it's not something they had to do, because this was never part of the original toy, but it's still nice to have. Okay, so they've all got universal peg and hole joints, so again, you slot one in there, like so. Another one in there, like so. It occurs to me, I think I've got this upside down. So you want this, the one at the back, on top. Okay, so now we're going to put in the missile launchers. So one either side, like so, and then finally the shield. Well, it still is technically a shield, but it's kind of more just a top. So again, you want the hole. I don't know if you can see that, but the hole goes into the peg. To make a pretty cool gun. Again, you know, anyone could hold this. With that kind of, who's capable of holding that peg, but it is intended for Metroplex. Indeed, the Slammer and Sticks gun in robot mode could hold this as well. Make a pretty awesome gun. You know, dual-barreled missiles. Strictly speaking, this little gun here is no longer a gun per se. It holds it all together, but there's no reason why you couldn't still assume that it fires. It's a pretty cool weapon. And then exactly the same with this as well. So you get the shotguns into the pistol, like so. Weapons, so missiles go either side, like so, and then finally you want to put the shield on. There you are, again, yet more weapons. So you've got 2 very cool guns, 2 big guns, and a tank. It's worth commenting because of the way the turret is, which is, didn't even know it did that. The top comes off and you've got the turret like that. Okay, well that's fine. It means you've got yet another gun, which, heck, if you really wanted to, because of its all universal joints, you could have an awesome gun like that. You could stick it on the tank, you could hold it. Whoa, you do not want to have to fight that. So it's just a huge level of manoeuvrability. But what I was actually going to show you was the fact that, because this is a universal peg again, this could be a separate turret by itself, and then you just got the tank by itself, and hey, you could stick that in there. If we can pop it in. There you go, to make him into a pretty powerful guy. I wonder if these will go in as well. Yep, so you could do that. Stick the giant guns into Slammer, and because this has got 2 more holes on top there, heck, you could go all out, couldn't you? Just stick the whole lot together. Unfortunately, the laws of how things actually fit together, it does start to get worried. In fact, there's not quite enough clearance space to put it all on. Well, actually, there is. Okay, so perhaps a little bit on the extreme side. For some reason this one's it's clearance, I think, that's causing the issue here. Yeah, you see, it doesn't quite, it will just slot in a little bit, but because of that missile is kind of on the top there, you could stick it all together to make one well, it's almost an army by itself, isn't it? Just one huge giant gun. So I think Iron Factory have to be given a lot of credit for this, because what they've done is just produce weapons. It's called Weapon Defence Squad. Weapon Attack Squad. Come on. It's not a defence at all, that kind of thing. It's just got so much level of articulation. Yeah, it costs a little bit, but it's definitely worth the money. I've not come across many Transformers, if indeed any, which have this level of interconnectability. Everything combines together. Everything changes. You can have him with, a pistol, a shotgun, a missile, a shield. You combine the whole lot together and produce something that's as ridiculous looking as that. But the fact that you can do that is just brilliant. Never have you been able to do this kind of level of stuff before in the past. Okay, the guns swapped over, but the whole robot's combined together is just brilliant. And I say the whole lot will stick onto Metroplex. I'll show you that when we review Metroplex himself. Thank you very much for watching. Please do leave any comments below. Click and subscribe, and I will see you for the next episode where we'll look at some more Metroplex accessories. Thank you. Goodbye.